We begin in Davos, Switzerland, where President Donald Trump takes his message to the world stage. He spoke to a room full of global leaders at the 2026 World Economic Forum. A number of headlines came out of those remarks, including his mention of the Russia-Ukraine war, his strong criticism of Europe, and his renewed push to take over Greenland. Listen.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, let's go live to Washington now, and CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, what else stood out to you during the president's message earlier today?
Well, Mugo, we always knew that Greenland was going to be front and center of the president's remarks because he has been talking about this for so long, and the very leaders who he is coming face to face with are some of those who he has threatened also with tariffs if they do not come on board with his proposal to acquire Greenland. And while the president has always listed many reasons, in fact, he reiterated that, including security for not only the U.S., but for Canada. The question has always been, how far would he be willing to go to achieve his goal of acquiring this massive island in the Arctic? And the White House previously said that all options were on the table, including military force. But the president, for the first time, was explicit about how far he would take it. Here's what he said.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them.
Mugo, so of course, the most important part of what he said there was that I won't use force. He will not use military action, boots on the ground in Greenland, which is significant. But really, having covered the president for so long, he tends to use this rhetoric as a jumping off point to start negotiations, because that gives him so much room, short of military action, to negotiate. And so, it still remains unclear what he plans to do to acquire Greenland, since Denmark, of which it is a territory, and other European nations have made clear that they do not support the president's plan. So it's still a wait and see moment, but certainly to have that clarity on the world stage is really important.
Very important. Obviously, a lot of people waiting to hear from the president today, and he gave his speech, but what else is on his schedule?
Well, at Davos, basically anywhere you look, you're going to run into a world leader or a CEO or somebody in the business space. And the president, of course, prides himself on being the deal maker in chief. So we expect that he will be talking to a lot of foreign leaders and business leaders throughout the day. In terms of his public schedule, not much is listed, because we know tomorrow he will be making a big announcement on the Board of Peace, which he will likely be working on today, too, to try to get more nations to sign on before he makes that announcement. Of course, that board has to do with the rehabilitation and the peace efforts in Gaza after that conflict. And so this is going to be a big deal for the president. It's not necessarily that he's going there just to focus on the economy, but it's giving him an opportunity to put his agenda, his foreign policy agenda, on center stage. And he has a huge audience, again, wherever he looks to do that. We also know, Mugo, that he will be meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine tomorrow. That's something that he announced today.
Okay, Weijia Jiang in Washington for us today. Thank you so much.